Greetings, humans. Greetings, earthlings, and any animal people, animal souls that might be listening on the fringes. All beings of this whole cosmos that might be tuning into this frequency right now. It's such an exciting one for the Roseanne Barr Podcast because I have a great, great guest, MTG, and you know what that means. Yeah, you don't even need to say it. Check it out, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So you see, my patience is growing thin.
I'm happy to be here today, and
So
I hope the
happy.
animals are watching. I really do.
Oh, I'm sure they are. They're intelligent life.
That's right.
All intelligent life will be tuned right here today when they understand what we're going to talk about.
Good.
Do you agree?
I totally agree with you.
Because it's truth, right? You don't get a lot of that, do you?
No, truth is. I think truth is under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack,
That's right.
and they're doing everything they can to silence those that are telling the truth.
Well, that's why I feel sorry for you, because you're right there in the, Daniel, the lion's den of lies, wall-to-wall lies.
Yeah.
How can you stand it?
I hate it. So I call Washington, D.C. the District of Communism because it feels like a foreign country.
It is a foreign country.
It truly is. And there's so many foreigners there because they're all interested in their countries. And unfortunately, the federal government is too interested in everyone else's country. And they have totally abandoned Americans, the American taxpayer. Forget having a border. We don't have a border anymore. And the people there, I literally think a lot of them are traitors.
I have to agree. I think the lot of them, not a lot.
Yeah.
The lot of them are traitors.
Mm-hmm.
And they continue on as if they're never going to get caught or there's never going to be a reckoning of any sort. They're not even worried.
No,
maybe they are in private, but
I think they are worried, and I think that's why we're seeing the extreme persecution of January 6th defendants. I think that this is the message that's being sent loud and clear to all Americans, that if you ever rise up and challenge your government, which the Constitution gives Americans the right to do that,
right.
Address grievances with your government. I think that this is why they're persecuting those people, to warn Americans, don't mess with the federal government.
I think it's like making an example out of them.
Yeah, making an
test
example
case.
of them.
Yeah.
Test case. That's what they did to me. I feel like I was their test case for, I was the first one that got their magnificent cancel culture aimed at.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what they're trying to do is to provoke people who love this country and love the fact that it's a constitutional republic and that we have a guaranteed Bill of Rights, and that we're going to stand behind it. So I think they're just kind of, it used to be that, that story where the emperor's naked and everybody's like, nobody tell, and they're like, oh, you look great in your French designed outfit, but somebody goes, hey, you're naked as a jaybird. And then everybody's like, takes them a minute, but they go, yeah, you're naked. They join in to mock the person in power. But I think that everybody knows he's naked. He knows we know he's naked, the emperor. But that's not enough for him. He's got to put his wiener right in our face on top of it. He's got to come. That's what they were doing, is marching down the street and putting their wieners right on display there,
right,
to show us you can't do nothing about nothing.
That's right.
But it's almost as if they want to go, come on, do something about it.
Yeah.
So then they can start the big crackdown. And I think people are so smart that they're like, I'm not going to be pushed into this reactionary thing. They want me so they can take everything I have and put me in prison.
You're right.
People are so smart, they can see.
You're right,
the
Roseanne.
writing on the wall, don't you think?
And I can tell you that's true because people don't come to Washington anymore.
Right.
They just don't show up anymore.
Yeah.
Before January 6th, people would come, they would protest, they would come talk to their congressmen, their senators, they would have rallies, and we don't see very few people show up anymore.
Well,
think
what
you're
about
right.
all Hamas was just there, though?
They show up.
Yeah.
But they're supported.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
they're
welcome.
supported by the intelligence community. They're protected.
They're so protected.
That's right.
Here's these January 6 guys that are in prison, a
Mhm.
triple Purple Heart winner. That breaks my heart.
Yeah.
A patriot who put his life on the line for the country and got 3 Purple Hearts. Can't see his baby daughter because he's in prison
That's
in
right.
the Gulag, Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
But yet Hamas comes in and sits there, and they do the things that you do when you insurrect.
That's
None
right.
of which the people did on January 6th.
Oh, no.
And they don't even take their names.
No, well, I can tell you what they did do because it happened in my office building. So, and then I have my book. So, talk about January 6th. I was in the House chamber, and I hope people get a copy. And the second chapter is all about January 6th because I was there when it happened. We were objecting to Joe Biden's fraudulent electoral college votes.
Right.
I don't care how many people make fun of me. The election was stolen. I'll say
Absolutely.
it all day long.
I know it
It's
too.
the truth.
We all know it.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
And then people came in the Capitol, and I wrote all about that. And then that same year, just some months later, I went into the D.C. jail and visited the men that were being held there, being held on solitary lockdown for 22, 23 hours a day. I mean, living in horrific conditions. Some of the jail cells didn't have working toilets, so they would stay in the cell 22 to 23 hours a day without a working toilet. And then they would be let out, and they were given the option, and it was an option. Call your family, or go outside, or call your attorney, or take a shower. For in their 1 to 2 hours, they were out of their jail cells, and that's the kind of treatment they were receiving, and that went on for months and months and months.
Well, that's cruel and
over a year.
unusual punishment against their constitutional rights, isn't it?
It is, but the people you're talking about, the ceasefire now, pro-Hamas, they call themselves pro-Palestinian. I don't give a crap about any of that. They are pro-terrorism,
Mhm.
and they came in and did the exact same thing that many January 6th defendants did. They came in, they illegally occupied the Cannon House office building. That happened in my office. Over 300 of them were arrested. Several of them attacked police officers. Not one of them are sitting in the D.C. Gulag.
Nope.
None of them are being arrested and prosecuted by Matthew Graves, the U.S. Attorney at the Department of Justice. Total double standard.
It is, and it's so obvious, and it's so in everybody's face, and yet, I mean, Twitter is where they manufacture consent, and it's all probably, and up until Elon bought it, it was all manufactured consent and manufactured dissent too.
Of course.
By just robots and trolls and stuff. But they're still doing it. I mean, I guess it has changed somewhat that they're letting old patriot, people back on and stuff such as Alex Jones and stuff.
Thank God.
Yeah. I mean, they so smugly sit there and root for people to lose their constitutional rights.
That's right.
And I cannot believe that they actually think that there isn't going to be a day of reckoning for people who root against the country, who root to break down the laws of our constitutional republic. Do they not think we can see them?
I do think they think. I think they know the American people are upset. They see the polling numbers. No one can deny the tens of thousands of people that show up for President Trump.
Right.
No one can deny what people are saying, especially when they're answering questions on these polls and these calls. It is definitely coming, and I think the Washington establishment knows it's coming, and they're trying to do everything they can to prevent it. They're in complete prevent defense mode.
Yeah.
And I think,
what are they mostly trying to prevent? It seems like, the Epstein list.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
terrified. They don't want that out, right?
Right. Well, there seems to be this rise among the people demanding the truth. Everyone wants the Epstein list.
Right.
People want to know about the UAPs. People are like, what are these UFOs and UAPs? People want to know about the Kennedy files.
Right.
People want to know all about the Department of Justice and these terrible persecutions. People want to know the truth out of the federal government, and they have every right to know it.
Absolutely.
They want to know about, Pfizer. They want to know about the vaccines. They want to know about Fauci. And they deserve it.
I know.
And people deserve the truth, but it seems to be there's like this rising swell of people that maybe never paid attention to politics before, but they're getting hungry for the truth. And I think that's the day of reckoning.
I do too. I think the day of reckoning is if there is going to be an election. I wanted to ask you if you think there is, because I think it could go either way, depend on what they do between now and then. Because they could do a lot of dirty things and just say, oh, well, when they figure, hey, we can't cheat because they're going to make us do the paper ballot and the voter ID, so we can't obviously cheat, so we'll just shut down everything, including the internet, and nobody will go anywhere, and they'll just sit home.
Or
They've
like
already
Zelensky
done
did.
that to us with the quarantine.
Absolutely. And that's what the great democracy of Ukraine did.
Yeah.
They canceled their elections.
Right.
And Washington, D.C. thinks Ukraine is the greatest. I mean, that's their
Absolutely.
51st state of America. So why wouldn't they do it here in our country? They're
Well, I
always
thought
praising the democracy of Ukraine. But no elections. They canceled their elections. They totally silence people on social media. They throw their press in jail. Full clampdown. That is not a democracy. I mean, it's a tyrannical government that we pay for. $1 billion a month.
Jeez.
The American a month. People think it's been just $113 billion that Congress allotted and they've been doling out. It's $1 billion a month that our country pays for and props up their government.
Well, they tell us that we can't afford health care. You can only get Obamacare, which is a giveaway to the insurance companies.
Of course.
We'll talk about him. I mean, what a showman. What a liar excelente. But they just love him. I can't stand it. But anyway, the truth does need to come out. But yeah, they want to prevent the truth about Obama, I think, about the Obama administration and how exactly like the Bush administration it was. We say, people I talk to, we say Bush-Bama.
Right.
Because, it was taking the rights away from the American people all the way through it.
That's right.
Through the whole Kennedy thing, all through it. The same hands.
Yep.
Right?
Well, that's true because it was in 2008, the last year of Bush's presidency, that they created Section 702 of the FISA court.
Right.
And now look at the abuse that carried on through the Obama administration and then horrifically, especially in 2021, with over 278,000 Americans being spied on by the FBI, by the federal government through FISA. No, I completely agree with you. What's the difference in the Bushes and the Obamas and the Clintons? I mean,
they all hang out. They like Michelle Obama called Bush her partner in crime. He gives her little candies and they have a big laugh.
He also paints strange paintings of himself in the bathtub in the shower.
He is a better artist than Hunter, though. I got to give him a little.
Well,
bit of
that's
credit.
true.
His stuff
Hunter, so he doesn't show up. It's no big deal. They don't ban him. They don't go and get him at the airport.
Yeah,
and put
can we talk about that? What happened? Because
yes. So I'm on the oversight committee, and we've been leading the investigation, and it's into Joe Biden.
Right.
Hunter Biden is he's the gateway.
Yeah. Right.
The laptop's absolutely real.
Yeah.
The entire media establishment lied to the American people. 51 intelligence.
All the intelligence people lied to
was
us.
election.
Those people
fraud.
should be prosecuted for that.
Yes, they should.
They should be prosecuted.
And that's election interference.
It is.
100%.
Right, that's the fraudulent election right there.
The votes were
Plus
perfect.
Google and everything else they did. There's 300 levels to their fraudulent election.
Absolutely. And that's a big one. And it's not, we don't do enough about it. So we had him coming in. And in oversight, in committee hearings, whenever you subpoena someone, you always do a private deposition And then later, you do a public hearing.
Uh-huh.
That's what they did to the Trump kids. Don
Right.
Jr., Ivanka, Eric, Kimberly Guilfoyle had to go through it. All
Over
of
and
them.
over for hours.
Yes, hours and hours. They did the private depositions. Then they came in for the public hearings. So we had Hunter coming in just last week. And he was supposed to come in for the private deposition, had been subpoenaed, agreed to come in. We're all prepared for him. He shows up about an hour and a half late, goes to the Senate side of the Capitol where Eric Swalwell had reserved him the press circle where he could hold a press conference, holds a press conference, lies in his press conference about everything, and then leaves and doesn't even show up for his deposition.
Then he just walks away from it. What's going to happen?
We are going to hold him in contempt of Congress, which is the same thing the Democrats did to, like, Peter Navarro, Steve Bannon,
right,
who both have been, the Department of Justice prosecuted both of them. So now we'll get to see, will the Department of Justice prosecute Hunter Biden when we vote to hold him in contempt of Congress?
Well, of course they won't.
No.
They're not going to do it. And then they're like, go ahead with your little show. We don't care what you do.
Yeah.
We're power. We're in charge. We're the establishment. And, obviously we're telling people you're on our side or you're not. And if you're not, we're going to crush you. Right. So what do we give a damn? We are Eric Swalwell. Don't you think it's horrible that Fang just happens to die in a plane crash? Everybody who's going to say anything just happens to die in an effing plane crash.
That's true.
What the hell? Everything's a damn lie. Hunter is a lie to me because I think that I don't know. You used to follow Q or talk about Q.
Yeah, I did.
I love you for that because they're trying to shut us all up who know something else.
That's right.
And we do
Nothing
know
wrong with
it, so F it.
I thought it was better than the news.
It is, and it still is holding sway right now. Because it's starting to move now.
Oh, really?
Because it said it would be drip, 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 flood of information.
Wow.
D-class. Okay, well, D-class, how's that happening? It's happening right now. The more they persecute Trump, stuff D-classes. Have you noticed that?
That's true.
So that's going on. But anyway.
We always fight about it because
he thinks whatever.
Well, no, I was part Q too.
I was saying, I think Hunter went and purposely left his laptop there.
I don't know if he did or not, but I think that was the best amount of information to ever come out.
Yeah.
I mean, we have him on Mann Act violations, human sex trafficking. This was prostitutes that he was paying, flying them from California to Washington, having sex with them, recording it all, uploading it on amateur porn sites, and then he would fly them back home. And then he paid for that through his law firm. Paid for it through his law firm and tried to write the payments off on his taxes.
Decency's on the ballot.
Yes, I know. And don't forget about the Senate staffer that just had
that I was going to ask you about that.
Unspeakable abomination in the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing room. And that just happened.
But, it's probably been going on forever and they just were keeping it secret.
Probably.
I mean, they're, aside from being corrupt as hell, I always call it, and you're exempt because you're one of the few that has any integrity at all.
I'm trying.
Which is why I just, adore you.
Thank you.
And how hard it must be for you. It's like, that must be like being in my writer's room. Being over there.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Well, they're communists too. So
yeah, they all are.
So it's
communists.
all the same thing.
It's like they don't care. It's the only thing in their head is any means necessary. That's all that goes through their loop. Yeah. Oh, I'll do whatever. If I have to stop him by making up lies about him peeing on prostitutes in the hotel, it doesn't bother me. I have no conscience because I have to get to wherever. And to me, it's just so close to, hey, if I have to kill 6 million Jews to get where I'm going, it's no big deal.
It is a short walk.
That's right.
That is how they are.
They don't care. Speaking of that, the same Senate staffer, he was, this is really interesting. He was the same staffer that yelled at our Jewish Congressman Max Miller. He's a Republican, yelled at him and said, "Free Palestine," very disrespectful. And isn't it interesting?
That's the same guy?
Yeah, same guy. So you know how bright he is. I mean, they throw gays off of buildings over there.
Do you trust anything that's being parroted out of the mouth of so-called experts on the TV?
No, when I hear trust the experts, I know they're lying.
After the last 3 years, I just don't trust anybody.
Me either.
That's why I'm very excited to introduce you guys to the Wellness Company, and specifically their medical emergency kit. It has 8 potentially life-saving medications so you can feel safer. It comes with meds like what?
Amoxicillin is one.
Amoxicillin, you read those, Jake.
Ivermectin.
Oh yeah, that's the big one.
That's
Z-Pack.
the horse paste. Z-Pack. And it also has a 22-page guidebook, which is basically like having a doctor on call.
Yeah.
You don't have to go on WebMD and see that you have cancer.
I gotta get one of those for everybody for Christmas.
Yeah, that would be a great, and a satellite phone.
Christmas present.
That would.
That's what I'm doing. So write me down and get me that money.
I will. And your liberal children.
Oh hell, I'll even give them one.
They love ivermectin. They're huge fans.
Now
of
they're
ivermectin.
huge fans after Joe Rogan came out with it.
No, that was when it was horse paste. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, twc.health/RB. Use promo code RB for 10% off. Gays for Palestine are my favorite people.
Oh, I know, aren't they great?
They're so great.
It's
I want to ship them
queer
there.
for Palestine.
It's
We should send them there.
just a
they'll be loved.
psyop. All of it is. I don't think any of them are real people. They got to be working for this show or whatever it is to make the American people see it finally, how it's just double standards and money, and we already know it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's so in our face now that we'd have to be just insane not to see it. And they're still out there going, nope, this is our democracy.
That's right.
But it's like, it's not a democracy, you stupid.
No, not right now. It's not.
We have we're supposed to have democratic elections
Mhm.
for our constitutional republic.
That's
It's
right.
not a democracy.
Mm-mm.
Stupid SOBs. I'm so sick of it. I mean, I'm so sick of it.
It is. It's pretty bad.
Can I ask you a question, Marjorie? In
Yes.
your book, you're talking about.
Yeah.
We'll talk about your book more, but you mentioned Jan 6. I've always wanted to ask you: do you think it was an inside job? Do you think it was, or they were opportunistic? They being the left imprisoning the J6 prisoners.
Don't you think it's all Pelosi?
Do you think they let him in purposely?
I think it was entrapment. I think it was entrapment. I think that's the appropriate term for it.
Yeah.
Similar to the Whitmer kidnapping case. You know, that insanity.
Yeah.
So the same way there was like, I don't know how many FBI agents versus like just a few of these guys that totally got taken advantage of. And yeah, they did the wrong thing, but they just were, it was like a honey trap.
But you guys were going to dispute the election, send it back to the states. That January 6th happened, and then the vote went through. It seemed like I guess what I'm saying is I think they might have planned the entire, not saying that we weren't responsible.
I think they definitely
I think they
did.
might have saw that they were angry. They shot bombs, smoke bombs in the crowd, and they thought this is a good way to get out of the vote. Were they that smart, do you think? Or do you think they just...
I think they were that smart. Nancy Pelosi had, she had intelligence. They gave multiple intelligence briefings back in December.
Yeah.
I know of as early as December 18th, maybe even before that there was threats of violence, people were planning things, but they also had that intelligence because why? The FBI had embedded themselves into all these groups, and it was like an entrapment scheme going on.
Yeah.
And they were antagonizing them and pushing them, just like we saw Ray Epps go into the Capitol. That same thing was happening in all these social media private group chats all over the place. This was and they've talked about it. These January 6th defendants have talked about this extensively, but the media doesn't cover it. And so I think it was building and building and building. I think the Democrats knew it was coming. Nancy Pelosi had been briefed on the intelligence, and she turned down the National Guard. So did the mayor of D.C. publicly in a letter she put out on her own Twitter on January 4th. No National Guard. Nancy Pelosi said no National Guard. So they left it wide open.
Did she say why she didn't want to do National Guard? I don't remember.
She didn't give a reason that I know of, but she turned down the National Guard.
Even the police chief came out saying that everything they said was pretty much a lie. But I think there was a guy on Twitter, and he disappeared, and I asked people what happened to him. His name was John Here to Help. Do you know who that was? But a full year before it happened, about 8 months, he tweeted, "They're going to steal the whole election. They have it all planned." This was a year before the election.
Wow.
On Twitter, He was a whistleblower, but I think he disappeared.
Hmm.
But he said, yeah, they have it all
Planned out.
And how you know? Well, I think they were like Swalwell now. They're all, and like, what's his name too? They're all making documentaries about themselves.
Of course.
And Pelosi hired her daughter to make
on January 6th.
Yeah.
to do the reality show or documentary, because they're like, oh, Netflix is going to pay us $20 million on top of that.
Oh, totally.
So it's like, well, all we have to do is document. And so, like, she picks up the phone. These are my favorite things being a Hollywood person. She picks up the phone and it's off. There's nothing on the screen.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, there's nothing on the screen. It's
I
black.
did see that. Yeah.
And she goes, tell him he'll have to go between me and the police. I'll be damned if he's gonna, looking right at the camera with the thing
She probably
off.
did multiple takes.
Yeah, that's probably her
they were
third
like,
take.
yeah, her daughter's like, do it again,
Do it again,
Mom.
yeah. A little more
I didn't
energy.
really believe it, Mom. Put a little more of your, and then everybody that's following Pelosi documenting this fake insurrection that she's making a reality show out of, because she wrote it, and then her staff, who are all probably writers I fucking fired. Half of the shit that goes on at the Democrat Party is writers I fucking fired because they're so cornball and hacks. I couldn't use them on my show, and they ended up writing for the Democrats.
How about
I'm
that?
telling you,
I believe you.
it's true.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there they are writing her reality show, and then it showed all the crowd of people, her supporters. They're really her donors. I got all figured. I know everything. So they're all taking pictures of her doing, I'll stop him if it's the last. And they're holding up their phones, and they're all black too. There's nothing on any of their phones because they're like, they'll screen it in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably so. Like, they didn't have to think about it.
Yeah, they're
It's
just
insane.
in the reality show
Isn't that crazy?
that she's writing about how she saved our democracy from our constitutional republic.
She didn't. Yeah, right. And then she proceeded for the next 2 years as speaker to destroy our country.
Yeah.
Literally destroy our country.
They
They
double-speak.
passed the Green New Deal.
Yeah.
Totally passed the Green New Deal, which is
Abysmal.
the Communist Manifesto, basically.
Yeah.
She passed a bill twice on the House floor that would make abortion legal up until the day of birth.
Yeah.
They all voted for that. They love baby killing. It's
They
their
do.
favorite sacrifice to the devil. They love it.
Yeah.
And
Well, they love the baby blood. They love bathing in that and drinking it too. Now,
I've heard.
Yeah, they do.
I like your mom. We're gonna.
I love it.
I says
I've
in
been
my
waiting for
act,
this
I
for
put,
so long.
well, you know what? Now they're going to sell, they already proved they're selling the aborted fetuses, the aborted fetus parts to Bill Gates to put in his meat. Well, that's true.
The fake meat or the real
Yeah,
meat?
the
Well, it's
fetus
real.
meat,
It's
fetus
fake meat.
burgers.
Oh, good gosh.
Come on, when they put in their protein, we're eating humans. They got us all being cannibals.
Well, I'm not, because I would never buy his fake meat.
No, but they already got it. And McDonald's is selling fetus burgers.
What?
Yeah, they got it in everything.
Man, I got to
Allegedly.
get back on QAnon.
Yeah.
I am missing out on some good
No,
stuff.
that ain't
It's QAnon, a lot of it.
No, it isn't. It's just about Bill Gates' fake meat.
When did you
Well,
leave?
Bill Gates
though?
is crazy.
Yeah.
He's absolutely insane. And why he thinks he can control the weather is beyond me.
Because he can.
Yeah, he definitely is trying. And then he's trying to destroy, reduce carbon down to
Seeds.
0. Yeah, clouding the seeds, all this stuff. And then
Who are these people?
they're evil.
Do you think they're possessed by demons?
I don't know what they are,
I
but
do.
I can't comprehend them.
They're not like us.
No, they're not like us at all.
Because we care about human beings.
Of course we do. Of course. We care about everyone. We care about life, liberty, and happiness and protecting it.
That's right.
And these people care about taking that all away and giving us their weird version of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness,
It's
which
just
is nothing
them.
at all.
It's like them as the predators and us as the prey.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way.
It's just, vultures.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so scary. And they definitely have the kids targeted, don't they?
They do. And here's a perfect example. We went from, during Trump's administration, we had AOC in her little white suit down at the border crying at children in cages.
Making her reality show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, remember the other angle? There was no one there.
Totally. Yeah, there was nothing there. It was an empty parking
Yeah,
lot.
she was just at a fence.
To now, over 85,000
Missing.
migrant children missing. Well, where are these kids? Seriously, it's like, where are these
I
kids?
think they sold them to Bill Gates and he ground them up and they're selling it. I'm not kidding. They're putting the human meat.
They're in the
We're going to have
tunnels
to take over the
Haiti.
FDA and do an investigation on that.
We have a lot of work to do.
I'm telling you, they are as you think you figure out how dirty and evil they are, which is why they don't want us to know nothing about Epstein Island, because they're even more horrible than we thought was possible.
Well, Planned Parenthood, no, specifically talking about selling baby body parts. Planned Parenthood caught
I know.
in the act of
In the act.
selling these aborted fetuses, these baby body parts. No, that's very real.
I know.
And that is horrifying. And then, I'm on the oversight committee and I have AOC, I have Rashida Tlaib, I've got some
Oh, you
lovely
poor
women that I
thing.
serve with on there.
How
and-
can you stand
Yeah, what's
it?
that like? Give
Oh,
me a
it's
day in the
repulsive.
life. What's that like? What is that like?
It is.
Just walk us through a day.
Okay, well, first they attacked President Trump on everything.
Everything.
It doesn't matter what we're talking about. It's President Trump's fault,
Right.
and it's insurrection, and it's MAGA extremist Republicans every single day, day in and day out.
Yep.
Us.
And then occasionally you have AOC over there shrieking about, when are we going to talk about women's reproductive health care and abortion? And I'm like, I'm down for it. Let's go. I want to do, let's talk about Planned Parenthood selling those baby body parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Do.
But I can't get.
And their funding coming from people who.
Yeah, we have to meet them on their level. Oh,
I
you
think
want to
so,
talk about
too.
abortion? Sure. Let's describe the process.
Yes.
Let's talk about
absolutely.
what actually happens to a baby when they rip it apart and kill it. Sure. Let's do videos and put it on display so that young women can actually understand it.
I'm down for doing that.
I'm totally for it. And then let's talk about what happens to the baby's bodies afterwards. Yeah, let's investigate that. That's if they want to talk about it, I think we should meet them on their level and really talk about it.
Yeah, because then you have to talk about organ trafficking, which is another thing that they don't look at, where these kids that are children being trafficked.
Right.
It's a lot of times it's for their organs.
Yeah.
Hello.
Do you know one of the worst places that's happening right now?
I know America's the worst place on earth for
America and Ukraine.
Oh, I knew.
The favorite
Ukraine.
state, the 51st state of America, according to
Yeah.
the Democrats. They are, women are it's like they're harvesting babies.
Mhm.
They're having babies where these babies are being adopted,
Mhm.
but they're not. Their organs are being harvested. Some are being adopted. Many of them are sold into slavery, sex slavery.
Let's talk about Rashida Tlaib, but let me put this in there. Oh, she cares about these Palestinian babies so much, but here's what she doesn't care about: that those tunnels that go all through Gaza, which are just laid bare now thanks to Israeli technology, because all of our wars are being fought in tunnels, which nobody knows anything about, because they don't want to know.
Oh, they don't want in. Well, that's why they're underground.
Yeah, but that's where the real war is, because of trafficking, organs, weapons, and drugs, and all the stuff,
all of it,
and children.
Yeah.
So those tunnels in Gaza were dug by child slaves of Hamas, who she loves. They so oppress the Palestinian people. They're just really Arab people that live in Gaza. And, they take their children, and every family has a child they lost to Hamas terrorism. Right. And they dug all of those tunnels with child slavery. And then when the kid, they don't give them like 9 to 5. They work always until they're exhausted, and then they sell their organs. That's who Rashida Tlaib likes.
And protects their government, their Hamas government, which is, they were elected.
Death of children.
It's horrible.
They wear them as body armor, and then, they probably sell their organs too.
They
once
take
they
the
get
children
them
with them so that they're protected from the IDF soldiers.
And they're not even their kids. They're just kids they stole.
See, this is what the younger generation is being lied to, and it's
Yes.
extremely concerning. The polling shows in kids, 18 to 24, and that whole generation, they think that Israel are the bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And us.
And they don't believe that the Holocaust ever happened.
Yeah.
I know.
Here it's for us, after 9/11, it's like, how can there be this many Americans, especially young Americans, supporting Hamas?
TikTok is a big one.
TikTok, yes.
It is a big one. Social media in general.
Yep.
Well,
universities.
it's also
And the
it's-
anti-Semitism
yeah.
is unbelievable.
Well, it's a cycle that always recurs. It's like an infection
Right.
that comes back every 70 years. It's a scourge,
You're right.
but because it's so easy,
Mhm.
it's just really easy because it's a tactic of power. Whenever they get close to getting caught, the
Mhm.
people who own everything, who are the royals. People don't ever want to hear that. They go, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory to think that there's just a few people who control everything." What about kings and queens? What about that?
And people are like, "Oh, no, that's okay."
That's
Meghan Markle.
That's something else. Let's talk
Right.
about the Jews. But the Jews actually work for royalty. And I always say the Jews work for people who don't work. So let's get it straight. The owners of the world are kings and queens. That's who owns the world. Okay?
I thought it was the WEF.
Well, that's who the
Klaus
WEF works for, are for the royals too. Everything is for the royals. And if people can't even get that much, they're not going to get anything,
So I got in trouble for a phrase I never said. Jewish space lasers.
That's a famous quote of yours.
And it's not even my quote.
I know.
That's what's so funny.
What is that?
So I wrote about it in my book to straighten it out because it was like 2018. I wrote up a Facebook post and I was talking about the governor of California and I was talking about PG&E, the electric company out
Mhm.
there, and the wildfires.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this actually
machines.
new technology
Yeah.
where they were harnessing the sun's power and sending it back to these receivers on Earth and to harness the power. And it was like a new form of like energy.
Yeah.
And it was actually really interesting. And I mentioned that there was a Rothschild on the board, and I didn't even know the Rothschilds were Jewish.
Well, they're not.
They're not, they're
okay,
German.
so I knew
No,
nothing
But
about
a lot
that,
of people say they are.
but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Knew nothing about it. I just knew it was a big, powerful name.
Yeah.
And then I made a joke, and I said, "What happens if they miss?" And I was talking about like wildfires, and I was like, this harnessing the sun's energy, bringing it back to a receiver. And I was like, new inventions mess up all the time. What happens if it misses? So some guy in the media took that old Facebook post of mine, literally like the first month I was in Congress in 2021, and created a headline. Marjorie Taylor Greene blames Jewish space lasers for California wildfires.
Oh,
And
my God.
that's where, so you talk about that people can twist and make all
Well,
kinds of
that's
crazy
their
things.
job, is to twist.
I do happen to think
I
there
mean-
was some doom machine happening there. There was a direct energy weapon in California.
What do you think of that?
Well, that was also what people were saying.
Yeah,
And
that
I was,
is a Jewish space laser to some people, technically.
well, they really
Right?
have Jewish space lasers. They really do.
Yeah,
They have
Is-
space
Israel.
lasers.
Yeah, space lasers.
They have land lasers.
They have
Yeah.
There's military equipment that is
100%.
laser based.
I think dudes are real. That was when Hawaii. That was one of the theories that we.
I
covered.
love that the
Oh, for
Israeli
Lahaina.
army has
For
rods
Lahaina.
I mean, it's
from
all-
God.
Yeah,
Have you heard of those?
Rods, no.
Rods from God.
It's one
You
of their
should look
weapons.
that up. That's
Is
one
that
of their
that might
really
be the space
good.
laser
It
then?
is.
It might be
It
the
is.
space laser. So
Can I-
yeah,
can I ask
and
you a-
it's yeah.
I've one of the things I want to ask you about. Obviously, you're probably gonna hate to talk about it, but the McCarthy
Oh yeah.
thing with I know that you were on record not really for the ousting originally and the whole vote, and it seems like it probably wasn't the best move, just objectively. Can we talk about that, where we are now?
Absolutely. I'm glad to talk about it.
Okay.
I'm glad that people are starting to see that it really isn't turning out as it was promised. Well, so I think people have to understand that. So in our conference, in our Republican conference, and we have a majority of 222, and we're down now.
Uh-huh.
We're
Right.
going down practically by the week.
Yeah. Which is scary.
And you have to have 218 for majority. That's the majority. We barely had it together from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And to Kevin McCarthy's credit, he was the only one that had relationships with everybody in the conference, that he was able to get everybody together, and we functioned. We didn't function well, but we functioned, and we were able to move forward. And so I come from a business background where, you know what? We got a job to do for our customer. We got to all get together. No matter what, we got to figure this out, and we got to get the job done. So that's my mindset.
Mhm.
He was the only person that wanted to be speaker. He was the only person that was running. And I think that got proven to the American people in that 15 rounds when nobody else wanted to run.
Yeah.
Nobody else could get elected. And our GOP conference is not red. It is purple. It's like a purple state.
Mm-hmm.
And so people on the outside, and of course you don't know. You can't know because you're not in there.
Right.
I wish people were in there. I would take the American people to work with me every day if I could.
Yeah.
Because I want them to see all the crazy
They need
stuff.
to see it.
They need to see it. And so there were 8 Republicans, some of them my very dear friends, ousted Kevin McCarthy, and we have been, excuse my language, a shit show ever since, because we don't have anybody that keeps everybody together now.
Johnson doesn't do that.
Mike Johnson is a nice man, and I say that in all sincerity. He's a nice man. He's a Christian, but he has never been prepared to be speaker.
Yeah.
And I think that's showing. And he's got good intentions. I think he's trying, but it's not working.
Because they were going to.
It's not working.
Well, they have that has to be like a diplomat position, doesn't it?
You're not gonna have someone like me be Speaker of the House.
Right.
You're just not, because it's an election that happens inside the conference, and you got people in there that are practically Democrats voting.
Yeah, Jim Jordan, I thought would have
Could never get the votes.
Yeah.
And I think
that was heartbraking because
yeah.
he's such a truth teller.
Yeah,
I like him.
I supported him. He would have been great, but then they wouldn't elect him. So now we're a mess. We really are a mess. We're very divided. Everybody argues all the time. And the way I see it, I look at the American people as our customer, and I see that as a failure. It's a failure because a lot of Republicans voted for us and gave us the majority.
Yeah.
And a lot of people donated money and gave us the majority.
Yeah.
And we have a job to do. And our job is to get our shit together and do our job for the American people. And we need to do better. Like the NDAA, the defense bill, I am disgusted with it.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen under McCarthy. That happened under Mike Johnson.
I know. I mean, what happens to them? What happens to that they just give in?
They negotiate.
Yeah.
And he should have never done it. And he keeps telling us.
But he knew everyone was going to get mad if he totally collapsed. So he totally collapses.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of character flaw or outside pressure happens to somebody to make that happen every time?
It's the lies in Washington. So if you're Speaker of the House, Roseanne, you are swarmed by all the people in Washington. I mean, you never get 5 minutes to yourself.
Yeah.
You've got the White House calling you. You've got the State Department calling you. You've got every member of Congress calling you, Democrats and Republicans. Everybody is all over the Speaker. And so they fill them with all their talking points. You've got the military-industrial complex talking points. Oh, we've got to fund the war. Oh, we got to stop Putin. He's going to take over Europe. Total lie. Then you have to pass the defense bill. We got to fund the military. You have to. That's your job as Speaker of the House. You have to fund the military. You're just going to have to negotiate with Chuck Schumer and accept things in there. And it's just nonstop pressure. That's what happened with the FISA thing. Mr. Speaker, you've got to reauthorize FISA. What if a terrorist attack happens on our country's soil? You can't let that happen, Mr. Speaker. So that is the intense pressure that has been thrown on him. And I'll just say I don't think he's ready for it.
Yeah.
And our bill, our defense bill, so I'll give Kevin McCarthy credit because not many people do. Our defense bill we passed under him before this final version gave the junior military troops a 30% pay increase. Let me tell you how important that is.
It's really important.
Those guys make $22,000 a year.
Good God.
That's $1,875 a month. That's for rankings E1 through E6. That happened under Kevin McCarthy. The final version that was negotiated, totally taken away.
Disgusting.
No 30% pay increase. Then we took out all the abortion travel money. That got put back in. We took out all the no trans, no garbage of that. None of that taken out. That got put back in. And then the worst thing that happened that was never in our bill, but got put in our bill, was a clean FISA reauthorization through April. And people think, oh, it's only through April. But that's not true. So if you're an FBI agent or you're the Department of Justice, you can go to FISA and get warrants by April, but they last for a year. So if you get one in March, that baby goes for a whole nother year, and it's clean. So
What
these
are
are
we gonna do? What can we do?
Hi, it's Jake Pentland here. I just wanted to take a second to tell you and remind you again that we are now affiliated with Goldco. You can go to rblikesgold.com. That is my mother's landing page with them, and fill out the IRA kit form. That's what they specialize in. If you have a retirement account, you got your money in savings or stocks, and you have this big plan, you cannot rely on it. Things are too volatile. I suggest highly that you look into transferring your retirement into gold and silver, at least a portion of it, because we don't know what's going to happen with the stock market. I mean, Biden's shitting his pants literally, an election's coming. China's here. I mean, you know how insane things are. So go in there, fill out the form. If you have a retirement account, they'll walk you through it. You got to do it. You can change it years later if you're not comfortable or things get better. But right now, put as much of your money safely in gold and silver as you can. You can also just buy gold and silver on this website. You don't have to do the IRA kit. That's what they specialize in. That's what that's the product that they're best known for, but you don't have to do it. Just fill it out. When you talk to someone, say, I just want to buy gold and silver bars, they'll talk you through that as well. So go to rblikesgold.com and protect your wealth. Thank you.
I like what he says. Speaker Johnson says, he's trying to turn an aircraft carrier around. Well, the first part of turning around is stopping.
Yeah, no kidding.
And we need to stop Washington, D.C.
Right.
And then tell them no. Just flat out no.
Yeah.
No, we love our military. Of course we're going to fund them. Take this crap out and we're happy to fund them. Like, we're going to give them everything they need. We're going to give them a pay increase. We're going to give them everything they need. We're not going to give them COVID vaccines. We're not going to let the trainees in there. We're not paying for the ladies to go travel around and get abortions. We're going to make sure we take care of our troops, but we need to stop the aircraft carrier first.
Right. And reboot it.
Yeah, and then turn it around.
Yeah.
That's how you fix it.
It needs a reboot. I always say reboot leads to redemption, because you can't just keep going to hell every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too horrible. And people, I don't think, I know some are. They're just giving up hope.
A lot of people have.
It's so sad.
Yeah, a lot of people
hope's
have.
What keeps America alive,
We can't ever give up hope. See, that's the thing is, I think it's our duty. And that's like one of my last chapters in my book. I'm going to plug my book.
Yeah,
please.
I hope people get it. mtgbook.com is where people can order, mtgbook.com. But one of the last chapters is about hope. And I think it's our duty. It's our duty to always have hope for the future, even when it looks extremely dark. And it's our duty to do that for our children.
Yeah.
And I'm very regretful to hear so many people, it's nonstop doomsday speak. And it's easy to get in that. And I get caught in it myself sometimes. But that's the wrong message to give to this younger generation.
Yeah.
Because they need to hear us being hopeful.
Yeah.
And it's also our responsibility right now to fix everything.
Yeah.
So that generation has hope for the future. And so I'm a big believer in being hopeful, because look at what's happening.
Yeah.
Trump's going to win in 24.
You think they're going to let him win?
I don't know if they're going to let him, but
he's going to win.
He's winning.
Yeah, he's
win. He's going to win.
Yeah.
But we know that they're going to rig it.
Right.
There's 6 swing states that never fix their elections. And if you've ever interviewed Darren Beatty from Revolver News, I highly recommend you interview him.
Okay.
He wrote an article that was so powerful to me. It was the day of the midterm elections in 2022, November 6th or 7th. and he wrote an article, and he said there's not going to be a red wave, and it was before the election results even came in. And he described the 6 states that never changed their election laws. And sure enough, he was right.
Yeah.
And you can't we have to flood the polls. We have to flood the polls as big as possible to try to overcome it. But he was right, because those 6 states never changed their laws.
That's why I think all of this, just yelling at the sky for nothing.
Yeah.
If the people don't get in there and demand paper ballots and valid voter ID to prove you're a citizen of the country, those are the only people that should be voting.
Totally agree.
They know they can't win without cheating, so they're going to cheat.
That's right.
50 million different ways, but paper ballots and voter ID just cancels their cheating.
So easy.
And why, for once, can't the American people actually get who they want?
I agree with that too.
Shouldn't that be democracy for once? When they talk about our democracy, which is all BS, because we know we don't, but in that way that they use it as democratic voting, we want who we want.
That's right.
And that's why we live and die and send our kids to fight.
Yeah.
Because we want our votes to put in the people we trust and believe. And he's a truth teller. He's never lied to us.
No.
He's the only one that hasn't lied to us.
No.
So, and we see what they're doing to him because he is a truth teller. And we see what they do to you because you're a truth teller, and me too.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think in the big court of public opinion, we've all won.
I think so. And you know what else, Roseanne? Think about this. Like, I always think about, so when my life's over and I get to go talk with God about, okay, what went on? Let's do a recap.
What was that?
Yeah. I'm like, do I want to go to heaven and I look all shiny and perfect and I never did anything wild. I never challenged anyone. I never had an argument. I never pushed back. I never did anything. I was just, some woman who lived her perfect little American life. I mean, how boring would that be?
Very.
It's like, I always think about, when I get to have that conversation with God one day, my gosh, I'm going to walk into heaven. I'm going to be covered in scars, and I'm going to look like I can be beat to hell and back and have an incredible story. And you're going to have, my goodness, what an incredible story you have. But I'm like, what's more fun than this?
Nothing's more fun. And like you said, to show the children, I have 10 grandkids. So I'm like, I have to show them no, you just don't roll over and take it. You've got to fight back, and you cannot let them win, because they'll win for a long time.
That's right.
And here we are. We're at a perfectly poised time. And I really think that the women are finally going to get it. And the women, the young mothers and grandmas, and of course, if the men can, be part of that and want to be part, we welcome them. But we're going to figure it out, because we know how to do everything, because we do everything.
Yeah, we do. We do a lot.
Yeah.
And I welcome the men to come on and help us out at any time. We need strong men, and I think many of them.
We need strong men that listen to women. That's the big difference, ain't it?
It is.
The older I get, the more I see how that's just why they always lose, because they don't listen to the older women who know what in the hell's going on and raised them anyway.
I agree.
Right?
Right. Good mothers.
Be enough of a man to listen to your mother and your grandmother. That's how you get smart.
That's right. It's also biblical.
It is very biblical.
Yes, you gotta obey your mother, and mothers need to be good mothers. I think that's another thing. There's a lot of moms that are distracted in the wrong stuff.
Oh my God, I go off on that I have in my act.
They think their kids are like an accessory, like a handbag, and not. My God, what a blessing it is.
I say in my act, why has it fallen to me to have to be the one to smack your kids for you in the grocery store? They're on their phone ignoring their kids.
They do. And then they hand their child some kind of device, and there's no communication there. And,
just TikTok.
Or some little iPad or something. Yeah. And I'm sure you were this way. I mean, when I was raising my kids, we didn't have any of that stuff. So you're talking to them the whole time and correcting them or teaching them something, or just, having that social interaction.
Communication and awareness of each other.
Yeah.
Being in the
That's how you
connected.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is true, because think about that awareness. You brought up something so important. When you take your children out in public, they don't need to be looking distracted with a toy or a device. They need to be learning about the strangers around them,
Right.
and understanding body language, and understanding that you don't act like that, or don't be like this person, or you do want to be like this person. Look at them. They're doing great.
Right.
I mean, that's all the stuff that's missing.
Yeah, it is. It's being not present.
Not present.
Yeah, being taken off of your, whatever it is, your reality, being used and abused and lied to.
And that's how you get lied to.
Yeah.
If you don't grow up knowing and being able to recognize the truth when you see it and hear it, that's why we have a generation right now that are totally being lied to and are just falling for the lies.
And they get really, really upset when you say, no, it ain't like that.
Right.
They don't.
Oh my gosh,
either.
they go nuts.
They don't question authority at all.
At all.
They love authority. This younger generation, which is shocking. No kid 18 to 24 is in love with authority, as far as I've ever known in any
Except for
civilization.
right
But
now.
now they're like,
Now
yeah,
they
give
are.
me the jab, whatever.
That is interesting.
It is. That's scary.
Because they
I think
didn't.
that's because they're afraid.
Well, look at us. I mean, I don't know how everyone's age, but we're all north of 30, 40. Like, we question authority. When we hear stuff, we're like, that's probably bullshit.
Yeah.
That's how we were raised.
Totally.
That generation don't even, they're like, well, I trust the experts.
But they grew up. They grow up being totally sheltered with their helicopter moms.
Yeah,
they
that's
can't
what it
go
was.
outside. They can't do anything. That's
Yeah.
why
They're never
afraid.
told no.
They're never told no.
And they never connect anything they do to having an effect.
A consequence, effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't. That's true.
There's no like cause and effect. Oh, I did this, so this was going to happen. It's like, I did this, so I'm going to get away with it. I did this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
But you know,
Democrats.
another thing though, it's like we can talk about them, but it's not their fault.
No.
It's
not
they're a
their fault.
victim of these parents that didn't do it right.
That's true.
They are
And that's like the
victims.
real tragedy, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you hear so many people criticize younger generations and say bad things about them, but I almost would rather criticize other moms and dads my age
That's what I do.
and go, what the hell have you done to your kids?
I say that too. They didn't
Mhm.
even pay attention to it.
Mm-mm.
They just were like, oh, well, they give him a pair of shoes every few months, you know, to have him take out the garbage.
Right. Or they gave them too much
Yeah.
and didn't parent them.
They're
And now
rotten.
we've got these mothers who think, you know, well, you've got to have a straight kid, you got to have a gay kid,
Oh my God.
you got to
I
have a
know.
bi kid, and you got to have a trans kid,
Yeah.
or a
That's
couple,
all
or a couple of
Hollywood.
trans. Yeah,
That's all Hollywood's like that.
that's evil.
Grooming.
It's straight. It is grooming.
Yeah.
And Leslie Stahl nearly fell over when I told her.
Oh, I love that when you said that.
She couldn't believe I said that. I'm
I
like,
know.
Democrats are the party of pedophiles,
They
and she
are.
was like, "What? How dare you?"
But it's
Yeah.
Like,
true.
it's true.
It is 100% true.
Yeah, straight up
I agree.
pedophilia.
Totally. I loved that you said that. And I loved her fumfering face. The way she was like,
Right.
you know.
All right. Well, we got to wrap up. Can I ask you two questions?
Sure.
One about your book.
Yes.
To plug it again, and then I haven't read the book yet, but it's part of it is about you leaving the private sector to get into government, right? That's a big part of it.
Yeah, I give some of my background. And
I think that's fascinating. Why? Can you tell me real quick why you did that?
I was one of those naive people that believed, you know, you get elected and go to Washington, you can actually make
Change things.
changes. I also believed with all my heart that President Trump was going to be in the White House, and I wanted to
Yeah.
be in Congress
Right.
and make his agenda happen.
Yeah.
And I was pissed off at Paul Ryan and all these other sorry Republicans that did not pass his agenda.
Yeah.
And I was like, we just need people in there to make it happen. And then they stole our election, and then, oh gosh, the rest has been history. So I write a lot about that in my book, and people can get a copy at mtgbook.com. It's a great read. It's a good holiday gift.
Yeah,
and
that's a great holiday gift.
yeah,
We'll put
yeah.
I'm going to buy several for my liberal family members.
Oh yeah, and the back
Some of
is
the
they'll
socks.
love the back. So I quoted Joe Biden, he said, isn't she amazing? Hillary Clinton says this woman should be on a watch list. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she must be expelled. So I just, I put what they said about me on the back, and I was like, it's for everybody. It's for everybody.
Now, to wrap up the one thing, so you agree with me that they did everything they did to us to steal the election, and then they did January 6th to codify their steal.
Setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all agree.
Setup.
Okay.
Complete setup.
Are we going to impeach Joe Biden? That's my last question.
We don't have Republicans in there that will impeach him. I'll be very honest with you. I've been trying to impeach this man since.
Yeah, you have.
And Mayorkas, I know you have too, but.
Yep. I've done Biden, Mayorkas, Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland, and Matthew Graves, the guy that's persecuting those January 6th defendants. That guy is awful.
Yeah.
And we got our impeachment inquiry, but we have a bunch of feckless Republicans that are like, oh no, that impeachment would probably be too far. Crazy Marjorie. Crazy Marjorie. Why would she think we can impeach
They don't
Joe Biden?
care about our country at all, do they?
They don't have any courage.
Well, we need more of you in there.
Send them, please.
Sometimes I go, damn it, I'm going to do it.
Roseanne.
But I can't. If I was
would
in
love
there,
you.
If I
would
did,
love
I
you.
wouldn't even. Me and you, we'd take over. We'd
We
be the
would.
real squad.
You know what would be great? If you came in there and it was you and I, probably a bunch of these sorry men would all retire because they couldn't take us. And
That'd
then
be
we
cool.
could replace them all.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what needs to happen. Replace them all with more women like us.
Yeah.
Go, I'm not afraid. I'll fight. You're stupid.
God, I would love.
That'd be great.
I'd love.
And I want
ticket
back
for
all the
for
money
White
we
House.
stole.
yeah. That's
2028, the two of you.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
my
I'm going to
gosh.
say it like this. The first thing I do if I come in there, here's the first thing me and you will do.
all right.
We want back all the money this Congress stole from the people.
I'm down with that.
All right.
Yeah, we'll do it because they just print it out of the Treasury. So why can't we print it and give it back to the people?
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
I
Say
love
thank
it.
you.
I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Go get her book and
Yeah.
send it to all your
Thank you.
liberal family members for a
Oh,
lovely
yes, definitely.
Christmas gift, as well as your conservative thinking family.
It's got something for everyone.
That's right.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Marjorie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, you see.